Hello, everybody. Welcome to another episode of Delve Requisite here on Proficiency Bonus. We have just learned that apparently Jason has been cast amontillado into his office. He lives in an office with no windows and no doors. Who knew? As soon as stream goes off, Jason just sits in a white void and waits for stream to start again. He doesn't exist. He
ceases to exist entirely.
AI.
Ask who imagined him. We don't know.
Don't know.
But they were definitely brain damaged.
Oh no. We're off to a bad start. Let's thank our sponsors before this goes any further off the rails. Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle, thank you for sponsoring Proficiency Bonus. You at home can get links to their websites by typing !Little Dragon or !CCG in chat there. Little Dragon Corp is a dice company. They sell polyhedral dice for tabletop gaming. You can use our code BONUS at checkout and you get 15% off your order if you buy anything from them. I don't know exactly what the shipping rules of the land are, but I would, if you're looking for a last-minute Christmas gift, I would not wait any longer. If you want to use that code and buy somebody some dice, do so immediately following stream tonight.
Yeah. Or right now.
Do it.
Do
it right now. Watch stream right now, but then do it later. And Cardboard Castle Games is a brick and mortar tabletop RPG store located in Evans, Georgia. But if you are not in Evans, Georgia, fear not, because they will mail things to you wherever you are.
Shop small.
Shop small. Cardboard Castle Games.
In Evans, Georgia.
In Evans, yeah, specifically in Evans, Georgia.
Evans, Georgia.
So that is sponsors. Let us jump right into it tonight. We have the Fool's Errant with us this evening. So, you guys, as a refresher, it's been a few weeks. We've had some wonky scheduling stuff. You guys are in the town of Talmark, which is the old stomping ground of party member Aelar, and is a fairly large town that sits on the border between Mithlindian territory and the Ignean Empire. Though it is currently under Ignean control, as their invasion of the Empire has pressed much further into former Mithlindian territory. You guys are here seeking out old associate of Aelar, Raxis Thorne, who you have recently learned, or we pseudo-recently learned, is the brother of one Nathaniel Thorne, a now deceased, a pirate captain operating in the Ignean archipelago, or the Iolacus archipelago. You have sought out his help to help you get further into Ignean territory, as you are on a mission to reach and break into the Estelgath, an impenetrable Ignean fortress and prison. You had to leave Rogers and the boys outside the town with your carts and your horses. They have one of your interconnected bags of holding on them. And in order to secure Raxis Thorne's help, last session you undertook a job for him. You broke into, or you talked your way into, the dungeons beneath the keep in Talmark and facilitated a prison break. Your primary targets, a pair of halflings, husband and wife, who Thorne had learned had been transferred here after they were captured, as they had been sort of contracting with him for him to smuggle them out of the Empire before all of this turmoil went down. Something went amiss, and they were taken prisoner. He asked you to retrieve them. In the process, you have retrieved about a dozen former Mithlindian home guard who were like sort of the upper echelons of the town guard, essentially, the border guard here in this town, who were under the watchful eye of their commander, who had kind of under duress, at least his explanation for his motivations being he was sort of like threatened with their safety to sort of facilitate either, helping to have them neutralized and locked up peacefully, or to choose violence, and in his estimation, to try and protect his people, he begrudgingly was sort of like working under the Ignian's heel. You've liberated those individuals as well as the captain who you took unconscious out of the prisons. You escaped by way of Walter utilizing a spell from his staff shovel, and in the intervening time, what I'm gonna say is we finished last session with you guys zorping out of the hole that Walter made via magic in the dungeons. We're gonna restart these. We're gonna begin here back at Raxis Thorne's establishment. The sort of running through the streets happened off screen between sessions here. You guys sort of ran and made it back to Thorne's building without being followed or captured again. You have both of the halflings, you have all of the town guard. Everybody is basically cramped inside the lower room of Thorne's office front. And where we will pick up is right after, for those of you guys who did not watch the other party's stream last week, almost immediately after you guys got back to Thorne's building and boom, slammed and barred the door shut, as the alarms and stuff are starting to go off in the city as the Ignians mobilize the town guard to deal with the prison break. Brahm is contacted on that hand mirror that you guys were given that connects you to both the Grimm's Follies crew and back to Terra Libra. The Grimm's Follies crew checks in with you guys, telling you that they are far to the south, near Mount Iolaquis, where some operation as part of the Ignian's Armada just released a dragon from deep within the mountain, and it is apparently under their control and heading north to where they don't know. So you've learned 2 bits of information. 1, apparently dragons are not extinct. 2, there is a big mind-controlled or something one now under the Ignian's control. In that conversation, just by happenstance, it also came up that you guys are with Raxis Thorne, who you have then, the pirates then pieced together, knows Nathaniel Thorne, who they are associates with. So Raxis Thorne has just been informed that his brother is dead by the Ignian's hand. You guys traded some sort of other information, and Brahm has just essentially hung up the mirror. So where we will kind of pick up is everybody is milling in this in this room. The shutters are closed, the door is barred. The mirror goes down, and Thorne, sort of to you guys in general, he says, if you'll excuse me for a moment,
Rax, you go. Take what you need.
Kind of nods. Says, I need to collect myself. And he goes upstairs into his private chambers above the office, leaving you guys here. The various guards are also here. The captain, Captain Den, is still unconscious from where you guys clocked him one and knocked him out. But the others are sort of milling around in the room, keeping themselves at the moment.
So the operating theory that dragons were a fictional representation of malice or violence was not accurate, and that was a true and real thing.
Clarification. Dragons were thought to be extinct, hunted to extinction by a vendetta by the Invari Empire.
Ah, right.
So they're not
Worse.
extinct anymore.
Well, now we know how they're going to be able to prosecute the war against Mithlinde.
Did they give a heading?
North,
North
which
towards us, kind of.
which will eventually place it somewhere in the Empire, unless it, dragons can fly, so it could decide to take a jaunt to the east, which will eventually lead it toward Mithlinde and Terra Libra.
Yeah, essentially, like, from where they are, north means very little, because they are... North means, like, towards the main continent, essentially, from like, how far south those guys are right now.
But more than likely, it ain't the Ignians that control it. It's the Brotherhood, which is worse.
We need to make a call. Now. Can we?
About what?
We need to tell Mithlinde that, and the
Didn't they say that they
and
already
Terra
called
Libra. Did they?
the pirate people?
Oh, well,
that you
then
guys
never
were
mind.
friends with said
If-
they already called the nerds in Terra Libra.
The bookkeepers have been informed.
Oh, well, then never mind. Clearly, we can rest easy. As violence
Brob's
incarnate
exact words
is
were,
on its
"Did
way.
you tell the nerds?"
Yeah. Yeah, Brahm asked, "Did you tell the nerds?" And they said yes.
All right. So, shit we can't do anything about.
I'm just
Let's
start
focus
writing this down. Aelar says shit we can't do anything about, and Cintra starts writing down.
So let's focus on the shit we can do stuff about. One, he indicates all the folks they're milling about. We can do something about it to help these folks. We need to wake the captain. Oh God, what was it? Damn it! I wrote down his name.
Sherrod.
Thank you.
So, number one, people. 2, wake Sherrod. What else is on? Let's just get the whole list out and prioritize.
Okay, so
We need to meet up with Rogers and the boys, eventually. I know
when Rax
Rax is gonna help
finishes
with that.
the forgeries he's making, but we got a dozen fugitives of the Ignians in the form of Mithlindian Guard, who I'm pretty sure would want to do one of two things: one, either get the hell out of here, or two, try and take the fight to them, which I don't recommend. Because reinforcements are just across the freaking meadow.
I have an idea about that. I don't know if it's helpful at the moment, depending on where your friends are. We did
Which friends?
the pirates.
The entire other side of the continent.
Yeah, but aren't they near ish to where the queen is supposed to be? And can't she use some more guards? Isn't they're in the Ialocos archipelago, which is Austin Vale-ish?
No. Ialcos Archipelago is on the far side of the Empire from us. Mithlinde is east. Ialcos
So,
Archipelago is west.
Let me
Isn't
disconnect
it?
myself. I'll show you guys the. If you guys look on stream here, boop, here I'm invisible. So the queen is
At southern
has
tip.
currently like marshaled the main front has broken out in sort of this no man's land between Niveria, which is that star like sort of top leftish, and Turnier, which is south of Niveria. That's where like the Queen's armies are. You guys are currently at the red dot on the border between Niveria, Mithlinde, and the Empire. The Fools or the Grimm's Folly are off the southeast corner of the map. like that sort of like
Oh.
protrusion
I
off
had
of
flipped the map in my
Honorand that forms this gulf here. They're southeast of there.
Okay, I'd flipped the map and.
So like all of Honorand is sort of between where they are and where you guys are currently.
Disregard my plan then. I was gonna say, couldn't we, in theory, be like, "Hi, hold the mirror. See this guard? Pull him through the bags, because don't they also have the shared bags of holding?"
They have shared bags of holdings between themselves. You have shared bags of holdings between you two. You
Oh,
guys
but they
did
don't.
not. You didn't like
between the parties.
exchange a bag,
I
so
thought
you
we
have
had
no way
to.
to like
Oh, we had to.
transfer between
well.
each
We'll
other.
have to. We're gonna have to work something out next time. The next time we can
Run
work
into
a
them.
meeting.
Toss
All right,
bags.
but we do have a bag that connects us to people outside of town.
We do. Rogers and the boys.
We just need to be able to communicate with them. Perfect. Um,
But didn't Rax say he was gonna help us reconnect with them and sort all that out? Let's just wait for him and his plan. I think let's just give him a minute. I don't think we need to step on any plans he has right now. He might have already gone in contact with them and have us set up and ready to go. I don't want to.
the only other thing I can think of is attempting to raid the armory. We've got a dozen people who are, trained soldiers, but we don't have arms for them. Of course, now is not a great time to be out on the streets. There's a martial law being declared.
So as you guys kind of like discuss your options for a few minutes, maybe 5 minutes or so goes by. Thorne comes back downstairs. He's seems to just have kind of taken a moment to center himself. He descends back down. You see like a lot of the guards kind of like look to him as well. There's a lot of like raised eyebrows in his direction, but he addresses you guys as he comes down and he says, "All right, so things have escalated slightly. We are rapidly approaching the situation being outside of my area of expertise, which is in subterfuge and smuggling, as opposed to blasting our way out of an occupied town." He looks to you guys. He sort of like glances over towards the guards. He says, "I can be prepared with the documents that you need to travel within the Empire by morning, dawn-ish at the earliest, I would think. It is really a question of your plans for your next moves here. Smuggling you out of the city into the Empire, at least from here, seems to be up in smoke at this point. Once you're out of Telmark, if you can shake any pursuit and get into the Empire, you should be able to travel freely with the documents I can provide you, but the question of what we do in town tonight stands, and I would wager, and he kind of like listens to the sort of like hubbub on the street, I would wager we are pressed for time. He gestures towards like the milling group of sort of guards who are still don't seem fully sure about like what the situation is here. He says, "We have some resources at our disposal, but in terms of your next moves, I'll leave it up to you on how you want to approach this. I can provide you with the documents you need before you leave here, and make any arrangements for any contacts, resources, or coin necessary for the next steps of your journey to get you where you need to go. But as for how you intend to make your way from Telmark, that's going to fall to your design.
All right.
Do we have a way to contact Rogers and the boys?
Yeah, his interest can do so.
Well, we
All
can
right.
get most of us out that way, but that leaves one person with all the bags in here, as we cannot do that way. I can fly over the wall and get out during the night if we must.
Yeah, I can throw an invisibility spell on you before I pop through.
Sorry, not to interrupt. You used the phrase "holding the bag," but the context around it sounds like you're not using it in the colloquial way that I might have thought you were going to. What exactly are you discussing here?
Aelar,
Aelar's
if
gonna
you can-
hold up one of the
Yeah.
bags of holding, and he's just gonna shove his entire arm through.
And I
Yeah, I would say Walter's got to be like Aelar's arm, and then just have that come out the other side.
Okay. For a minute, Thorne was like, I'm familiar with the concept of a bag of... Oh, that's interesting. He says, you've got bags of holding that share a space.
And one outside.
Ah. Well, then.
Currently in the hands of the rest of the people that we're going to be meeting up with outside of town.
He kind of turns towards the group of guards here. He says, I assume that you've been following this as it's unfolded here. One of them, a woman, kind of steps up, and she says, we have. We're not really clear on who you people are or why you broke us all out of prison. Not that we're not grateful. You're trying to get further into the Empire?
personal reasons, yeah.
We're sort of on a mission for the bookkeepers.
Did you hear the mirror? There's a dragon.
She says, I did.
All right. So we have a couple of options for you all. One.
Crap my pants now or crap my pants later?
Why not?
Thanks,
though?
Rom. We can get you out of the city. We have people waiting for us out there. You can pass through one of these bags, out in another bag beyond the city. Then you can make your way, I'd say go north-ish before heading west. Circumnavigate the Ignians. Join up with the Queen's forces.
Make a
if you want out.
persuasion check.
17.
17. Okay. She sort of turns to look
Option
at some
one.
of the others. They don't really like do much more than like kind of exchange some looks with one another. These sort of like the silent communication of people who are well familiar with each other pass between them. She turns back and she says, "No offense, but a lot of us have family here in town."
I wanted to
This is
give you
our-
the option. I get you.
She kind of nods, so she says, I won't speak for everybody. Some of us may want to take up that call, but this is our home. I don't harbor any illusions that we're gonna mount a defense and retake it, but I don't think we can leave.
Okay. Option 2. Front and I try and break into the armory. Get weapons, get armor for you.
Aelar,
Yes.
we have the bags here too. All of us don't need to get into the armory to get all of us in the armory.
Fair enough. Then I'll sneak into the armory, and I'll get the rest of you through.
I mean, same is true for anywhere that could be a particularly hard to enter area that would, if suddenly there were all of us in there, would be really bad for the defenders.
Thorne says, "And what exactly be your plan after you've broken into the armory and presumably armed all these people? You be but a dozen."
I just turn to Oz and start smiling really big.
I think it's more than a dozen, Rax. When we were at the prison, the regular Mithlindian guards that were working with the Ignians, it's a bottle of alchemist fire that someone's squeezing. It's ready to crack.
From, like, behind the group of guards, you hear... It would be suicide. Some of the guards, like, park
Moving
his image.
forward with node-positive breast cancer is overwhelming, but I never just found my way. I made it, and did all I...
Sorry, you guys didn't hear that, but stream definitely just did. I have, like, a name generator pulled up for, like, random people that we encounter, and it started playing an ad for breast cancer, like, medicine.
Sponsor us.
Woo!
Yeah, apparently sponsored by whatever this ad is. Let's close that.
Breast cancer sponsor.
Captain Sherrod has woken up, and he says, even if you were successful into breaking into the armory, arming everyone here, even if the rest of the town joined us, this is... The Ignians outnumber us 3-1, and reinforcements across their lines are not far away. He says we are isolated from the rest of Mithlande. We have no resource. If we try to fight, he shakes his head. He says, a hollow victory for whatever meager amount of these invaders we take out before we are all inevitably killed and all of our friends and family die with us in this town. The guards, like, some of the guards kind of, like, are, like, muttering in his direction. The woman who you had been addressing, she turns and she says, some of us would rather die. She didn't have an accent. She says, some of us would rather die with a sword in our hand, fighting for our country, and bow to these invaders. And Sherrod kind of shakes his head and he says, noble sacrifices sound lovely in stories, Noza. But the reality is that your wife, my children, he points to some of the others. He says, Mora, Rajal, Buck, your families. There will be nobody to protect them. He says, I'm not suggesting we bow to the Ignians' rule, but this is not a fight that we can win, not now.
Where's their control center? How do they communicate to the lines? How much information do you have about how many people are actually nearby? It's easy to give up. Giving up costs nothing, except your dignity. But, information will let us make an informed choice.
Sherrod, You see his like jaw clench as he sort of like you take a look, you kind of that like dig at him. He says, "I'm not suggesting we give up. I'm merely suggesting that we don't go break into the armory, give 15 people swords, and then hope that we can somehow."
I am not suggesting that we, once armed, they go. You walk out this door and you start trying to kill Ignians. I am suggesting that Mithlindian guards without weapons are a lot easier to recapture or to fight guerrilla actions. Are a lot easier to capture and a lot harder to fight guerrilla actions if they're unarmed.
Thorne chimes in and he says, "If I may straddle the fence on this issue, I believe the good captain has a point. Any attempt at an outright resistance is foolhardy at best. The army that passed through this town not very long ago was sizable. Until the tides of this war change, Telmark is functionally part of the Empire.
All right.
He says,
Then-
however, they can't all sit in my front room indefinitely, and they certainly can't go back to their homes and try to lay low. It's just not an option. The Ignians know who you are. They saw you escape from the prison.
Then I think option one's the best one.
He says, I were thinking a little bit of column A and a little bit of column B.
Oh.
Get the weapons you need, whatever other supplies you can gather. Sow as much chaos here in the town as you can. And then get your new resistance established safely in the wilderness nearby to the town, where they will not abandon their friends and family, but they will not be trapped here, surrounded on all sides by enemies.
You always were better at thinking a big picture than I was, Rax.
Sort of shrugs. Says, that solves part of our equation anyway. The lot of you and your people that are on the outside still need to get through the town and on your way into the Empire.
Is there, forgive me as I'm currently mapless, is there no other way around the town? You must go through the town to get past it?
He says, it certainly, it depends on how committed you are to taking your horses and your caravan and all that with you. You'd be hard-pressed to bring it through the wilderness on either side of Telmark, and I can say for certainty that there are Ignian patrols all around these parts. Group
I don't
you on
know.
foot, doable, probably. Getting your cart and your horses and all that through the town. Not impossible, but more difficult.
Yeah, I don't know the patrol patterns anymore. They've more than likely heavily reinforced them.
They've certainly changed in recent times. We be at war now. This is not any simple border patrol.
Rom, any ideas?
I mean, aside from trying to sneak all these people through an entire town, I don't know.
Oz. You got anything?
I'm not much of a plan guy.
Could we take all these people and push them somewhere else?
Pretty much.
No.
Look, at this point, you point me in a direction, I'll go there. But
do I have major?
I ain't got much of a plan.
Can't remember if I have major illusion. Maybe we Trojan horse these people.
Getting the people out via the bag is perfectly viable. Like that's
just getting our stuff.
Like that part is settled.
We can get
Whether
them
or
out
not
on
you
the
wanna
wrong
steal
side of
weapons
town.
for them. Well, no, the you can get
My
them out
concern
like
is getting Rogers and the gang back in and through.
right, like getting
That's
them
what I'm
out to where Rogers and the boys is fine, right? Like they're essentially gonna set up like Thorne's suggestion is like for them to set up like a Robin Hood camp.
Yeah.
In the woods.
Gotcha,
like does like that's no problem. And then like plus or minus if you try and break into the armory and arm them first, that part is easily done. Like I think you guys kind of like your sort of like bag ferry system that you've come up with will totally work. The question then is like assuming you're trying to keep you want your wagon and your horses and things like that to like continue on this journey. The problem is like how do you then get just you guys further away? Thorne kind of suggests he's like if it's just the group of you and you leave your wagons and your horses and stuff behind, like probably capable, like with a diversion of some sort or whatever, like you can get a group of people on foot to like get through the city and whatever, or use some sort of bag shenanigans to get through to the other side. Like, but the question is
one dimension door or horse.
Willing creature, I believe, right?
It I mean what's the text of what's it say?
I believe it says willing creature.
Let me double check.
My question is, how do you tell if the horse is willing? Because otherwise we're just wasting spell slots.
Fourth level spell, dimension door.
It says of your size or smaller.
Oh, so you will not be able to do a horse. Sorry.
Does anybody have reduce?
I have.
Does anybody have enlarge?
Shrink the horse. Yeah.
Yeah, enlarge yourself.
polymorph.
Bring a horse.
Oh, polymorph the horse into like a lizard, and then I'll
Put them in our pockets.
dimension door it.
Okay,
But
so
it
that
has
gets
to be
the horses.
willing.
What about the cart?
We lose the cart.
You can't put the cart before the horse, Aelar.
What's on the cart that we actually need?
Nothing particularly important. We have our 3 horses.
See,
We have
and
Rogers
that's
and
the
the
other
boys have
problem.
their horses.
That is the other problem we're gonna run into. Let's just play this out. I
Alright.
can only cast polymorph.
I mean,
using all of my
I
spell
have
slots
no
4
problem
times.
releasing Dr. Strongfast into the wild. He'll probably enjoy it more. And then come back to save us in the end game somehow.
Well, Doc Strongfast is relatively smart. If you tell him to head back to Terra Libra, he might lead the other 2.
Thorne goes from like the fringes of your conversation. Goes, Aelar, you remember the job?
I love when
where-
conversations are like that.
He says,
Then just goes like this. Like, tell me a story.
you remember the job when the previous mayor, before Pierce, were holding that gala and they were showing off the who's it, that sort of Fabergé egg thing. He says, he says, you nearly got nicked and you slipped out by dressing up in the garb of one of the lady of the house's handmaidens, and just
He dressed the
walked
horse
out-
up like a handmaid.
He just walked out the back door wearing a dress, and you were off scot-free.
Wait, it was a close thing. One of the guards did proposition me, but yeah.
Gross.
He says, "Well,
Hey man, I got great legs.
In that guard's
Even worse.
defense, Aelar famously does have great legs."
All
He
right, I resigned
says-
from the campaign.
He says, You tried to walk your way in here with a bluff about being a Moxham mercantile representation, yeah?
Yeah.
You're already planning to break into the armory to arm these guards. With proper motivation for and that is where the music died, apparently. With proper motivation, you could sow enough discord that perhaps a contingent of Ignians rushing for Vale across the valley might be ignored as a logical call for reinforcements.
The Ignians would have their gear in the armory too, along with the Mithlindian gear. Son of a bitch, yes! And that would work in the Empire if we need disguises. Damn! Alright. Okay.
So pretend we're Ignians trying to rush through town with the cart, with the horses. Get the hell out of our way, we got shit to do.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so. It's interesting. How good are you at sneaking?
Not terrible. I'm not the best, but I can also make myself invisible and other fun things. Yeah, I'm alright. I'll be fine.
Okay.
If I take a 1 hour nap, I'll be a lot more useful.
I can make
Um,
several people
Oh,
invisible.
we have
He
till
says-
dawn to like. get our
Yeah,
paperwork
Thorne says,
stuff. I'll
I'll
sleep.
need several hours to finish your papers so that you can travel through the Empire.
Okay.
Take whatever time you need to rest and formulate some of your plans. Aelar, he like points you to a back room, and he says I trust you know what you're looking for. I've got in the hidden compartment back there, I've got some diagrams of the keep there that you can use to help your plan here.
All right.
Take whatever time you need to rest up, to contact your people on the outside. He says, I've got a few other things myself to work on besides your papers here. I think I might have something in mind to add to the whatever distraction you lot come up with.
Rax, do you want us to get the Stoughton Foots out as well? We can get them on their way at least.
He says yes, but he says for now, if you wouldn't mind, as we prepare this, plan to send them along through your bag of hole into the outside of the town, and I'll get back to you on that bit.
RE the holding plan. Should I wait till dark and just fly on over to the boys? Just give me a list of the names and I can pull them out there and fly back and nobody's the wiser.
I can throw an invisibility spell on you now to make sure that you can get through not seen.
Give me a list of names we can pull from the bag, and I'll be there and back in less than an hour, hopefully.
And I have to be a list of names in order of how they're coming through the bag, so you pull the right person at the right time. Kind of how we had you come through first and then Oz.
Sherrod, give me a list of everybody's names in alphabetical order. And Aelar sets a quill and parchment down.
He starts to get up, and then he looks at the woman who he referred to as Noza, and he kind of gestures towards the quill and parchment. He says, I assume you would prefer that I keep to myself. And she kind of looks at him and she says, perhaps that's for the best, at least until we have a conversation, Captain. He nods and he says, fair enough. She steps forward and goes to the quill and parchment, and she begins writing down names on it.
Right.
So, well, hand wipe that one, and yep. Or do you want to play that one out?
Aelar is making you invisible, and then you are flying on your shovel
with my bag to
okay.
find Rogers and the boys, and then
the invisibility and the flying from the town part is all fine. What I'd like you to do is I'd like you to make 2 checks. Make a perception check for me, and then make a survival check.
Sure. I believe I did send Morgan with them, so when I'm within a certain number of feet from her, I can look through her senses.
Then make your survival check with advantage.
Okay, so I'll do perception first to find them. That's a 10.
Perception 10,
and
then
then
make your survival check with advantage.
Survival with advantage. An 18 and a 10. So
okay.
18.
So with the perception of 10, you Aelar like turns you invisible. You go out the back door of Thorne's building, and you hop on your shovel. You speak the command word, and off you go. You risk sort of like a quick glance down at the town as you begin to like fly away from it to try and get the lay of the land. You can see that like all of the street lamps have been lit throughout the town. There is a flurry of activity. The barracks that you guys like clashed with when you came in at the west gate is like a flurry, and you see that several other barracks throughout the town like appear to have been like summoned, and there are like full patrols of Ignian soldiers like going all through the streets of all the city, or of all the town. There are. I'm getting a weird.
Yeah, what am I hearing?
From somebody.
I think it was coming from
I think it's
Jason's.
Jason. They're like sword clashing.
Yeah,
That's because Andrea's watching a sword show.
Oh,
Hold on a
is it like
second.
every time I spoke, I
yeah.
started hearing like ching 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 ching.
You know, sword
I
show.
thought I was
now
going
on
crazy.
HBO.
I'm really glad it wasn't just me. I was like,
No, I was
What's
kind of
happening right
too.
now?
I was kind of too, so I was like looking around.
No,
I was
it's
like,
it's
is it
actually
me?
it was
and no
actually
one was saying anything,
Suncraft
so I
this
was
whole
like,
time.
oh god, Brittany, you've actually reached your limit, and now it's happening.
No, she turned it down.
Oh no, the D&D is real.
The D&D is real.
Yeah, we have a home invasion right now, and there's sword fighting in my living room. Just give it like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Somebody will win.
Oh boy.
Somebody's settling a long vendetta in Jason's other room.
For the love of God, Mondrasor!
Right.
I was trying to see if I get Suncraft to stop being poo-poo garbage, but apparently not. So you, that's kind of what you glean from just your glance. You see, like, the town is a flurry with activity. The Ignians are definitely looking for, like, the escaped prisoners. That's all you get from that, though. With your 18, however, you fly in the direction of, like, the west of the town. You head across sort of the no man's land, and you make your way to the woods that are just off of there. And you kind of begin, like, sort of zigzagging back and forth to try and, like, cover the ground until eventually you, like, ping, and all of a sudden you can sort of sense the like, emotions of your familiar, and you realize, like, you reach range of where Morgan is.
I'll land there with them, and as I don't have sending, or really any way to communicate back that I'm actually there, I guess
We'll get bored.
after a total of an hour, we'll assume that I had found them, and they can send sending.
Eventually, it would get to the point where we're like, he must have found them, or he's lost, or in trouble. So
We're dead.
We're dead.
Give a
Aelar will
thumbs
check
up.
one of the other bags and see if a
Bag.
note has been left.
And a thumbs up to the bag.
Just a middle finger.
I look to Aelar. Should I just check on Walter? And I point to my head.
After looking in the bag and not seeing anything, yeah,
It's
we
fine.
didn't. We didn't
It's
set out a
fine.
means of.
It's fine. I cast sending to Walter, and I just go,
Yo,
"Did you
bitch.
find them? Are you dead? Are you caught? What the frick is going on? We didn't plan this part. We're not good at this."
Walter's reply is, "Dragon! Dragon! Oh God, why?" Just kidding. Found them. Send along. I have the list.
Does
He
Interest
pretended the
communicate
dragon
that
was
to-
there. 'Cause he's a dick.
All right, we're leaving him behind.
Yes.
All right,
He
Zintris.
gets to stay with that bag that stays here. We can start sending everybody through alphabetically. It's fine. I'm
Okay.
last. It's fine. Since goes to the back
Sorry,
of the line.
last thing. Walter will say like 2-minute intervals.
Yeah.
Just so that we don't overfill the bag
We have,
by
I'm
accident.
assuming we have prearranged time.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right, folks.
Aloysius
Line up
von Bartlesby.
alphabetically.
Part of the list that we have. Let's say we have 2 copies.
Yep. So, you there? Into the bag.
And so on and so forth.
So on and so forth.
So on and so forth. So you begin, sort of like people line up. You take the bag and you like open it up and like pull it down over their head and pull it straight to the floor, and they like, shoop, disappear into the bag of holding.
Walter's first one, he pulls out, like he reaches in to pull somebody out and pulls out a whole person, and then switches to just kind of like tipping the bag over and being like, just holding it out so they drop down.
Okay. So you like pull out a person. You do like what you do discover is that you do have to like stick your hand in and like, you state the name of like, whoever. And then like as soon as you you feel like you grab onto like a part of their body and then you like pull it out. But if you employ that tactic by like the second or third one, you just like you kind of hold the bag and you're like, you're like Noza, and then you just sort of like get a grip and like pull, and then just like a person just joops out of the bag onto the ground. And within about you're doing 2-minute intervals, so like over the course of like a half an hour, you translocate a dozen Mythlindian guards into the woods outside of Talmark. So as you kind of like you go through this process, there's a bunch of like now guards set up around there. Walter Rogers is like, okay, so you went into the town and now we got a bunch of fucking jamokes here. What exactly is the plan?
Weapons are next.
Okay, I like weapons.
If I get another sending, I will tell them to unload the entirety of the armory in 2-minute intervals, and we'll just dump all the weapons out here. That could be fun.
He goes, what do you worry about 2-minute intervals for armory stuff for?
Capacity. We don't want to send the entire armory to the astral plane.
He goes, whatever you want. I mean, I would just start throw that shit in there and then just be like, the weapons, and then there they come. I mean, with the jamokes, I get it, because you don't want them to.
That's actually good. I could also probably just turn the whole thing inside out
It'll
and
be
dump it
fine.
at the same time.
I don't know what I would turn it inside out.
Would that make all of this the inside of the bag?
I don't know exactly.
He starts like grabbing for the end of it. Like
he's like look, I'm not like a bagologist. I just
Here's
know
this
that
Aelar's cursing.
I can feel Aelar from here. No, I'm not going to do that.
He's like, yeah, you know how the rhyme goes. Bag of holding, use it right. Bag of holding, don't, and you're fucked. That old saying.
Yeah,
Doesn't work.
yeah.
Note to self: ask Terra Libra about bagologist.
Apply for bagologist position.
Oh, I
they're
should have
being
been a
moved-
sacromancer. Damn it. That's bad. That was
That's
better.
a different thing.
That
That's
was
a very
better. That was a
different
better
thing.
one.
The
Hey, wait, hang on.
sacromancer is a very
Redo.
different
getting
thing.
that shirt for
Pretend I said
Christmas.
I
I
was a
don't-
sacromancer.
No, a sacromancer is a very different thing.
It's a very popular. part
Wrong
of
show,
town
but
for a while.
that's what rutabaga is.
Oh no, illegal.
Reset the countdown.
Oh no!
Oh, it was so bad we broke Brittany's camera.
Turned Brittany off.
Well,
I'm crying laughing. My makeup.
Well, welcome to December, month of rutabaga, I guess.
Zintris returned home to her people on
Somehow
another
didn't mess up the
planet.
camera. Did you just cover your
There's
screen?
makeup
Just didn't
on
mess
my
up the
face.
camera.
Please hold.
Zit just will remember this.
Oh my god.
Zintris disapproves greatly. All right.
Oh, thanks.
two questions.
Although I will say, thanks Eric Bleish for the tier 1 44-month sub.
Oh wow.
Hey.
Hey, thank you.
Blisky.
Whatever.
It's
Two
Blake.
questions. One,
Gotta be Blake.
is Sherrod
Rob Bleish.
among those that goes?
Yeah, they all go.
Okay, I just wanted to make
when
sure.
when you sort of settled, like, you know, we're not trying to make you like abandon your town and go off and find the Queen's army, like, and the like, the agreement was made of like, look, you can't stay in this friggin' office. We'll put you outside the town, and then like you kind of figure it out from there. Like, they all go.
Okay. Then yeah. Scratch question 2. After they're all in, Aelar heads into the back room, comes out with a set of plans, unrolls them. Keep. There we go. All right. I've got one more invisibility spell.
I also can make people invisible.
I say, decidedly not invisible. Walter is ready to come back now.
Yes. Yeah, it's been 2 minutes. Walter, and he.
What kind of before you bring Walter back?
Well, Walter wouldn't go in the bag, as Walter has a bag.
I imagine
we
you would
can't-
just leave the second bag there.
They have a bag. Why did
They
I
have
don't
a
know why
bag.
Walter brought his bag there?
Yeah, that's a good
You
point.
would not have. Oh yeah, well, theoretically.
He would have made sure he didn't do that.
Before.
Okay, then if that's the idea, then then
That's
we
fine.
can
You can leave Walter's bag.
we can
with the others.
can
But before you come back, you go like Walter. Walter, you go to like climb into the bag in Carlisle's hands. And Roger's like, oh whoa, hang on, a fucking second here. You showed up. We just shit like 15 guys out of this bag. You said weapons are next, and you're gonna fuck off? What is the plan, my guy? What do you want
Walter,
me to do?
away! I'll jump down. No, I'm not gonna do
As
that.
you go to the bag, you hear, motherfucker!
Actually, I think I will do that. It's more fun.
Oh, this is terrible.
When I get back, it's like so just can you send them ascending? Send Rogers ascending. That like we'll send it. Well, how many sendings do you have left?
It'll be fine. We still have to make it to dawn.
Right.
I think we're gonna get to sleep before then. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. So yeah,
okay.
just yeah, we'll send him a message saying to like when to pull the weapons out.
How
He
mad
asked for
was he when we left?
he asked for an explanation. I just said Walter away and jumped into the bag.
He's pretty mad.
It was
Mad?
funny. This look on his face though.
I just said to Rogers, hey.
It's like
Sorry,
12
my
guys.
friends are dicks. We're gonna send the weapons through. I'll tell you when. And after that, we're gonna set up like a resistance camp outside the town, and then we're gonna break through the town to go about our business. Okay?
Okay. You get back. First, tell Walter, eat my entire ass. Second, I don't know why the weapons. And what am I supposed... Fuck! He runs out of words.
I just start laughing and I just say to Walter, you have to apparently eat Rogers' entire ass. As
Tracks.
That's a big ass. It's gonna take a while, Walter.
No,
And
Rogers.
then,
No, Carlisle would be.
Carlisle's
would be a
entire
meal.
ass.
Rogers.
And then-
Rogers is not like.
he's just kind of scrawny and shit.
Rogers is the appetizers of ass.
And then when I send him next, I'm gonna have to give him a better explanation of what the heck is going on with the armory.
Well, I'm sure the
Or how the
guards who
back
we
works.
had that entire conversation with can pass that information along, as they are also out there now.
Yeah, he can get more detail. But I think he meant he doesn't understand how he's supposed to pull all the weapons out.
No, he knows. I told him.
His point was more like the
Why are
whole
they
plan
doing
is for
this?
you guys to get on the other side of the town, and so far you have told him, here's some guys, some weapons are coming, step 3, profit, and he's like, what the fuck am I supposed to do?
Retrospect, sending Walter might not have, without telling him to explain the situation.
I haven't gone through the bag yet. I don't know how I feel about it. Walter seems fine with it, so that's why Walter keeps going through.
Okay.
Oh
this
yeah,
point.
so Walter, since you were the first player character to be inside the bag of holding,
Oh no!
when you go in there, you find yourself you're in like a pure black like void. There
Oh,
is
boy.
like the concept of anti-gravity is not one that is like familiar to y'all in this like medieval fantasy, but like you go in and you're just sort of like floating weightless in this like black space. Like,
Have I experienced this before?
have you experienced this before?
Rom did when he was dead for 12 minutes.
It would follow, as Walter has also been dead, and he has
No,
said
this
as
is
much.
not a. This is not a. This is
This is not the dead zone.
Dissimilar to the dead zone. This is just you're in like an extra dimensional, like featureless space. So you're just sort of like floating in this like black void. One of the like.
Can it be a
One
white
of the
void?
little like one of the random like sets of gold coins that Osrius keeps picking up, like just a gold coin, sort of like floats past you in this space.
I watch it wink out of existence as it shows up by Oz's feet.
It does seem to like it sort of like floats past you and then like floats out of your like line of vision, and then like a few moments later it like comes past you again from like the same direction as if like the space just sort of loops infinitely, and then a moment later you just like feel like a hand grip your ankle and you are like yoinked back out of the bag into Thorne's sitting
Oh
room.
boy.
Okay. Keep hasn't changed that much from the last time I've been there. Alright. I think I could do this. Walter, by chance, did you see how heavy the guard patrols were on your way out?
All of them. I'm pretty sure.
Okay.
All of it. Like, there were few places with no guards. I wouldn't be surprised if they popped in within the hour. But,
Alright.
or at least tried to.
Now the good news is there's a lot less of us in here, so much easier to hide. So there's that. All right. I suggest everybody else get some rest. Won't be able to sleep a full night, but at the very least we can be a little
Yeah,
refreshed before
It's probably fine.
before I attempt to sneak into the armory. Things go south.
Let's leave a bag with Raxis in case we need to get back here instead of out.
Would there be a reason we would have to get back here and not out there?
It's a contingency.
That means we'd have to retrieve the bag on the way out.
Then we can
Raxis,
retrieve
who
it on
has
the
been
way.
like at his desk in the back of this room as you guys are like doing all of this stuff, working on these like documents. He looks up and he says, "Back here is not going to be an option after all of this kicks off."
So hoping you were going to say that. I think the heat has gotten pretty darn high. It might be time for you to enact whatever bug out plan you got.
He nods. He says, I don't see much point in continuing to operate as I have been. What's the sense in trying to smuggle people across the border if you're no longer located on the border? And in light of the news of my brother, I think it time I dislodge myself from one location and pursue other ventures.
If it'll help, I can write a letter that you can pass along to Terra Libra. It might get you entrance into the city if you are headed that way. If not,
If it'll help, we could take him there ourselves. Just be a
Couldn't we
day or
just
two.
call the enchanter on the mirror and have
do
them
that
be
too.
like,
I
"Hey,
could
this guy can he can get in, right? He's with us."
He holds up a hand. He says, "I appreciate it, but that's not necessary. I'm not sure where the wind is due to take me, but I do have a final, incomplete transaction to see through to the end." He says, I need to see those two halflings through, and if at all possible, I need to help them find their children."
What are the kids' names? I mean, the odds of us finding out anything about them are...
He says, a pair of twins, about 10, 12, Kivo and Kenna, by a name. He says, when I set up to have them smuggled out of the Empire, I weren't able to arrange for them to travel together. I put the children in a caravan with an associate of mine who was moved plenty of thing for me before with a false bottom. The parents in a wagon not far off behind, but he kind of shakes his head. He says, I don't know what happened since I weren't arrested or hanged or anything. I don't think I were compromised, but something happened that they were discovered and intercepted. The two of them, merely by chance, ended up in the keep here after the Ignians took over. I have no idea what happened to their children, and I owe it to them to see that through.
Well, I mean, we're headed in to the Empire, and like I said, odds are next to impossible, but hey, seems I've done at least a dozen impossible things in the last month.
He says, well, he says, my plan is to take the two of them and move westward from here. I've got contacts and some things that'll get us started, and we'll begin our search. But if you find anything in your journeys, you'll know how to contact me after that. But for now, let's focus on the task at hand.
Okay. Like I said, doesn't look like the keep has changed all that much. in the last few years. Ignians might have added a few extra wrinkles since taking over, but yeah, might be better if I go solo, but second pair of eyes might not be the worst thing either. So, no offense to you, Oz. Believe me, I want you at my back in a fight, but right now, subterfuge and sneaking in's the best bet. So, Walter, Brom, Sintress. Which of you three you think are really good at being sneaky?
Walter shrugs and disguises selves into an Ignian soldier.
Remember, they're really good at seeing through disguises of magical kind.
I have a question about the timing of all of this. We're gonna go to the armory, get the weapons, and then we're gonna get back out to the outside and stage the whole let us through, we're guards, blah 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 thing. Chaos reigns kind of thing.
Thorne, as you're like discussing who you're gonna take with you, and you say like, no offense, Oz, but you're not prone to subterfuge. Thorne goes, us just as well as I would if we're playing team captains here and choosing sides. I think I'd like to claim the Goliath for my part of this. He says, well,
oh, you want to kick off the distraction now? Okay.
Oh, he says, if anything, it'll help you get into the armory. You can dump out as many of the weapons as you can, prepare yourself, and I intend to set off the mother of all distractions. Once you're complete with your business, we can... we merely need to arrange to get myself out of the town, and then the lot of you can make your blitz through and get on your way.
I like that idea.
All right.
Big
How much
things
time
go
before
boom.
we do all of this? Are we going now, or we have time till the paperwork's done?
Wibbly wobbly. He like this conversation is taking place either after you have rested a bunch and he has done his paperwork, or like you're about to do that. So like whatever you need.
Well, my question is for my purposes, because of all the spell slots I've used for all the sendings and all the things. I get a long rest after 4 hours.
You will get a long rest.
Will everybody get a long rest, or just I don't need a long
People
rest?
People who need a full long rest are not going to get one.
Okay, unless you have a 4 hour.
Unless
Unless
you're
you're-
4 hour trance.
Unless you're enough.
Okay.
Like-
Walter, because you can do a hell of a
Yep.
lot of damage to us.
I had 2 shots of espresso and took a nap. I'm good.
Yeah. I'd suggest you go with Rax. You're gonna call a lot of fire down on yourself. You can hit them with that green light and do a hell of a lot to them. Also, that's big, that's obvious, and then run like hell.
Yeah, we'll wake the dead. It's fine.
Brom was interested in me or with Rax, Oz, and Walter.
I don't know. It might be a little more difficult to hide a giant green man as an Ignian.
Fair enough. All right.
So me and Aelar, and you guys all together. Well, that works
tracks.
too. 'Cause then Brom, you could also kind of keep everyone moving a little bit if they get a couple ouchies.
And we can always dimension door us somewhere.
Yeah. All right.
Thorne says, if you've got the means to contact your friends on the outside, I would tell them that once you've got the weapons through to them, they should wait for the signal, and then they should blitz like all hell through the center street of town, and you should plan to meet them there to hop on your caravan and try and make your escape.
I'm not going to send that until we have the weapons and we're telling them to pull them through, because I'm not going to waste 2 sending spells.
He kind of nods and he says, Fair enough. And if they ask, you can tell them. If they ask what the signal is, you can tell them they won't be able to miss it.
Be careful.
Hold on, I gotta turn on Barroom Blitz real fast.
I
Where are
always
you?
am.
No, you're not. But then again, neither am I.
Here we go.
Comes around to you guys. I'm presuming this is after your rest as you're making your final preparations. He comes around to you guys and he hands you each a tri-folded piece of parchment. And he says, "This establishes an identity for you within the Ignean Empire. Don't get yourself into too much hot water, as under an extreme examination, it's not going to hold up. But it should get you through most places casually, as you need it." He gestures towards Zintris, towards Aelar, and towards Walter. He says, "This establishes you as natural-born citizens of the Empire." And he kind of turns to Brahm and to Osrius. And Brahm, you can tell by the look on his face as he turns to you, like, you already know what he's about to say. And he kind of, with this, like, aggrieved face, he says...
Yeah, Aelar's wincing as well because he knows what...
he says, "This establishes you as property."
Sorry, bro.
Cool. I mean, it makes sense.
Forgive the tactless question, but whose property specifically? It may be relevant in the future. I'd like to prepare for that.
He says, for the three of you, you are all marked as citizens. These are standard citizenship papers. For these purposes, I have left it as vague as possible. Essentially, they're identification papers. The story, however you wish to spin it, is up to you. They are not defined as belonging of any particular house or anything of that nature.
That's good. Forgive the question. It felt like it could be relevant.
We'll have time to work up a couple stories if necessary, but
he hands you an extra 3 papers. Whoever wants to take them, he has an extra 3 papers for Rana, Carlisle, and Rogers.
Walter can take them. That's fine.
So you have false papers, false documents for them as well. So you guys, I marked them on your character sheets. You essentially have documents that until such a time as they are that cover is blown, you have documentation that will get you through standard checkpoints and stops and stuff like that within the Empire.
all right. Zintris, you ready? Good to see you again, Rax. I hope, I hope I see you again real soon.
He says, "Take care of yourself, Aelar.
To Rax.
Wherever the wind blows you, fuck up some Ignians on the way."
I always try. You too, Rax. All right.
I look at Rax before we go and I just say, just permission before I go to every once in a while give you a little.
I'm no stranger to the subtleties of the magical communication.
Some people don't like it. I figured I'd check first. You'll be hearing from me.
Someday
luck.
from me as well. Let's go.
Rex,
Don't die.
do you mind and I'll hand him my book. Say, if you want to sign your name, it'll get you out of deadly trouble once. I don't know how it works exactly, but
He looks at the rest of you guys. Of like,
Aelar and
Tell
you can see Aelar's name in it, like it's
And
right
mine.
there.
Okay.
Yo,
No,
like mine closed
Aelar will
recently, and I'm
nod and go.
stupid.
It saved my life once, Rax.
Me too. Very recently.
fair enough.
And DM fee out in the future if that gets you can choose to burn that at any time
Okay.
as necessary. Where it might remove that option from the rest of the actual player characters who benefit from it.
All right, so Rax like writes his name in your book.
One Thorne brother must make it through this game.
So you guys
I
are
believe
heading
he
off.
is.
Yep.
Alar
the
and
fourth.
Zintris are going alone. Okay.
Yep.
So what's the play here as you get ready to leave the? We'll start with you guys, and then I'll circle back to the others.
She's got invisibility. Aelar's got invisibility.
Okay, so just invisible, and you're going.
Yep, and just try to not make obvious noise or walk right into the middle of an Ignium patrol until we get to the armory itself, if we can.
Easy enough. So as the two of them disappear, turn invisible, exit the building, that leaves Walter, Brahm, and Osiris, you guys alone with Raxis in his moneylender's office. He heads into a back room and he kind of calls out. He says, "Prepare yourselves. I don't need but a moment, and we'll be on our way."
Is it dawn at this point, or is it?
It is like sort of that like grayish pre sunrise. Like it's like time of year are we? We're it's like 6 a.m. right now. It's like
6 a.m.
It's like just starting to
just
get light.
pre-dawn.
Yeah.
The shovelry charges at dawn. That's why.
Okay.
I'm gonna leave it's charges used until actual dawn. Whatever that happens to happen.
Any preparations you guys need to make? After a couple of minutes, Thorne comes out of the back room. He's changed. He is into like traveling gear with a rapier slung at his side. He has a hefty pack on his back, which he has packed with all sorts of accoutrement. But he is most sort of prominently to you guys. He is carrying several bandoliers, which are slung with these glass bottles containing a sort of a reddish orangish liquid that is like faintly like luminescing. And he like starts to hand them to the three of you.
Glass, delicate
Glass.
problem.
He goes, "Not if you don't drop them before the appropriate time."
Careful is my middle name. He puts up as he puts up a thumb.
I thought it was no name.
Shut up. That's a good.
He goes,
Good joke.
right. So, there be hidden as it is, there be a rather significant amount of incriminating stuff in this building, and if I intend to leave it behind, I don't have the means to deal with it all while still leaving the building intact. And he says, "Give me a few minutes," and he says, "My intention is to plan our diversion along the sort of southeastern wall of the city. That should draw, hopefully, enough attention away to allow your your friends to get in from the west gate, then all of you can depart here from the city, and I will make my way onward from there.
All right. Tracks for me.
So,
On your signal, I guess.
he like takes one of these sort of like glass vials out of like the bandolier that he has, and he says, would one of the three kindly go upstairs and deploy one of these? Preferably whoever is the most comfortable, then proceeding to jump out of a second-story window into the alley behind the building.
I will.
Shovel away, and I'll hop on my shovel and fly up the stairs.
You hop
Damn
on the
it!
shovel, Osrius.
Damn it!
He looks at you, Osrius, and he goes like,
I wasn't expecting that either.
Sorry.
He goes, actually,
Yes.
he says,
I killed a man from a very high height. I don't know what he was doing.
Mrs. If he's gonna do that, would you do me a favor then? Out the front door. You remember where you all came into town?
Yes. Yes.
He says, you remember that building where the reinforcements came out of the barracks, the west side of town?
Yes.
Why don't you just sort of pitch this through whatever open window in that building you can find, and then make your way back here?
Absolutely. Yeah. That's it. Just wind up and throw. You want 100% power or 50?
He says, that entirely depends on whether or not you find an open window.
Fair enough. You know what? I like the way you think. Sure. If there's not an open window, make one. Got
I was
it.
gonna say for upstairs, Walter goes, make a window opening, bro. Oz.
Yeah, it's like if you can't find one, make one. I'm a mason today, so here we go.
So you, Osrius, you like grab your bandolier. Walter, you begin to like ascend the stairs. Brom, Thorne looks at you and he like points to one corner of the room for you and points to the other corner for himself. He then takes a like he's got his like traveling clothes on and he takes like this sort of like scarf thing that he has wrapped around his like his neck and stuff, and he like pulls it up like over his face.
What
Like
is it?
rioter
Modern
style.
Warfare? What do we turn into Modern Warfare? Just Dungeons and Dragons?
Yeah. He goes, for 23 years I've been running this gambit nice and clean. I always knew this day would come, but he like takes his vial and he goes like, and he throws it in the corner, like, boom! Like a big fireball goes off and the building catches on fire. He goes, now it's time to fuck some stuff up!
Was Brom even told the plan?
Yeah.
Okay.
I feel like from upstairs, it's like, oh, was that the signal? Oh, I dropped it, and you hear like glass shatters, like, oh no! It just like fly out the window.
Fucked it. He chunked it.
All right. So Osrius, you kind of like jog a block down the street. You see the barracks that he had pointed out. Go ahead and make a athletics check.
Roll for terrorism.
Roll for terrorism, please.
Oh boy, here we go.
And we're gonna be canceled.
I was saying, someone who's saying the cancel joke.
It is.
Oh, I'm sorry.
It is no. We're the good guys.
We're the good guys.
It's
They
Patriot
all tell
fighting.
We're
themselves,
the
sir.
Patriots.
Yes, roll for freedom fighting.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my god, I'm leaving.
My athletics is 16 plus 8, so I'm pretty sure I passed.
You
Yeah,
do not
that's-
find an open window. You make an open window.
Ash destroys everything.
I want to.
A plume of
Can I-
fire comes out of the open window.
Can I make it so it's like I'm standing like I come up to like a part of the wall and I just touch a minute of it, like I touch a small part of it, and then when one swift motion, just pull the thing out and just slam it against the wall as hard as possible.
I guess.
being like, yeah, this looks like a good window. It just wham.
So Osrius just punches his fist with this glass container through a window. Osrius, you sort of peek in and you see a bunch of like Ignean guards like sitting around playing like cards and stuff like that in the barracks. And one of them like looks up at you and goes like, "Oh,"
Huh?
and you just like let the thing go, and there's like fire comes out of here. You hear a bunch of like, "Oh, we are under attack!" And you book it back down the you book it back down the street towards Raxis's establishment.
Dead or alive, fair is fair.
Fair is fair.
Fire is fire at this point.
I'd buy that for $1.
Absolutely.
Essentially, what happens now is in a very quick succession, 2 buildings catch on fire.
Love it.
The Igneans who are like patrolling like they're out in force, right? Immediately begin flocking. Like Osrius, you don't even make it back to Thorne's building before you start seeing like patrols coming from like adjacent buildings, like, and they see like just like a huge guy, like, whoa, and they start chasing you, right?
Sure.
You come, you get back to Thorne's building as like Brahm and Thorne come out the front door. Walter, you like come like zooming down and like land on your broom next to them. Thorne comes out. A bunch of Igneans like come running into the square outside of the building, and Thorne like shuts the door behind him and then like takes a key out of his pocket and locks the door. And then like turns around as one of the windows behind you guys just like blows out and a bunch of fire comes out of it. And he like pulls out his rapier and looks to the group of you guys and he goes, "Okay, now comes the part where we run." And you guys run towards the southeast quadrant of the town, leading these pursuing Igneans in that direction. Meanwhile, Aelar and Zindris, go ahead and make me some stealth checks, please.
Do so at advantage since...
Because you are invisible, you do so at advantage.
21.
Okay.
20.
All right. So 21 and 20, you guys begin to move towards the keep at the center of town. Maybe 5 minutes after you guys set off, like moving quietly through the streets, sticking, like hugging the walls of buildings as patrols kind of pass you, looking around. You hear like a commotion begin to kick up, and some of the guards start to move rapidly in the direction from whence you have come. And after another minute or two, you begin to see like the telltale orange glow of like some shit is on fire back the way that you came from, and you're like, all right, I guess they've started. Effectively, you guys are moving sort of against the grain of like the Igneans that are heading towards that commotion, but they are very focused on like going in that direction. So you guys, as long as you're sticking to the size, it is easy enough for you guys to continue to move towards the keep. As you get there, you find that Syl Piers is still there, with several of the like high-ranking Igneans and a few of the guards here. They are like standing out in front of the keep, like the portcullis is open. They're like looking in the direction where like the orange glow and like smoke is beginning to rise from where you guys know that Thorne and Brahm and Osrius are like setting off, and Walter are setting off their distraction. So the nobody has like noticed you in any way, but like there are a group of people kind of standing between you and like getting inside the outer wall of the keep here. Not in such a way that like you can't try to slip past them, but like you're gonna have to be very very careful about it. So just however you want to approach it. I just want to give you the lay of the land here. Like you can try to slip past them, or you can try to cause a diversion, or something like that. It's up to you guys.
Because we're both invisible, I have been trying to keep a hand on Aelar as we go, so I'm
Yeah,
not
Aelar's
separated or
probably
losing him.
basically right. We're holding hands as we
Yeah,
go.
as we-
Let's make sure you.
So as we get closer and we see them, I'm just squeezing his hand and waiting for him to make a decision, because this is his town's interest is not telling him what to do. Like, very quietly in Elvish will be like, do we slip by? Do we fight? Or do you want to just hope I don't mess up again and poof inside?
Less fighting we do, the better. He replies in Draconic. And he's going to cast a minor illusion, the sound of a breaking window off, slightly out of sight of where the keep is, and another, the sound of a whoosh of flame.
Okay. Make a deception check.
Oh boy. Yay. 16.
Okay.
I was gonna say, if I hear that, I'd also probably add prestidigitation to like smoke in that direction.
Okay. So you do that. The Ignians gathered around, the portcullis, the opening here, like, oh. The Ignian who you kind of know from before, like, seems to be in charge, the one that Piers was like groveling to, turns towards him, and he says in common, heavily Ignian accented common, he says, you assured us that you would keep your people under control, and that this would not be a problem, Governor. If, as it seems, this is not the case, I am beginning to believe it is not in our best interest to entertain your continued rulership over the town. And Piers raised his bar. Like, no. I assure you that this has nothing to do with my people. That those people who snuck in, and now it's all something from outside. I have been steadfast in my support of your new regime, and this is not. And the elf, like, enough, insight. Whatever this is getting closer, clearly. And Piers and this elven individual, like, with a few of his, like, attaches, begin to head into the keep.
We're following just right behind them.
As he goes, he says, you go see about this. He says, report back in 5 minutes. And he gestures towards a few others. He says, you there, prepare to close the portcullis. Whatever is happening, I want it quashed. If we need to send for reinforcements, we will, but I will not be made to look like a fool who cannot handle business in this podunk border town. And the elves begin to, like, scatter off. So you guys are attempting to follow Piers and the elven commander into the keep.
Mm-hmm.
All right, make another pair of stealth checks, please.
It's 25.
Okay.
26 this time.
Whew, okay. No problem at all. You, like, fall into step behind Piers and this elven commander. Make your way into the keep. Several of the two guards, like, close and then bar the door to the actual inner keep behind you guys. And for the second time tonight, you are in this building. You kind of see the corridor that leads off to the stairs that take you down to the dungeons. And you see that Piers and this elven individual head to, like, the sort of main like chamber of this space, and sit down at a table here. And from studying your maps earlier, Aelar, you know that just off of this chamber is the door that will lead you to the access to the armory, which is on the first floor of the keep here.
So they're in the room with the door that we need to get through, yes?
They are. That door is a doorway, like
doorway.
Open concept.
Okay.
Like you can just sort of sneak past them and continue on.
Then we do continue on.
Okay. As Zindris and Aelar tiptoe down the hallway, back on the other side of town, Osrius, Brahm, Raxis, and the ghost of Walter, who is invisible right now. You guys begin rapidly making your way towards the eastern, southeastern portion of town, heading specifically for the wall. Thorne instructs you guys not to throw any more of those fire bombs that he has. He says my building is my own, and I've ensured that those on either side of it are not inhabited, as this was always a potential contingency plan. The barracks has been taken over by the Ignians, but I have no intention of harming any of the people or their property of this town on our way out of here. He says, save it for when we get to the wall. We'll need it. He leads you to what you see is one of the interior sets of stairs that lead you up to the battlements on the outside of the wall of Talmark here. He kind of points you to that set of steps. He says, that's our goal. He says, it'll be guarded, I'm sure. Prepare yourselves, but we need to get up there, and we need to get to the interior of the wall here. He pats the vials that you have. That's what the rest of these are for. I intend to start a fire inside the wall on this side. The wall keep it from spreading.
Above?
What's that?
Can we get it from above?
He says we have to go up the steps into the gatehouse there. He points to a little turreted gatehouse, and down in from within. If we can get a good enough blaze going inside there, it'll create a problem that the Ignians will have to address eminently, but it shouldn't pose any immediate threat to the people of the town. Once we've got that handled, we'll have to improvise a way to get the hell out of here without being followed, so that you can get off to where you're going, and I can make my escape.
All right.
So as he kind of finishes explaining this, you guys sort of burst out into the open, and several of the Ignians who were on the battlements and on the steps spot you guys, and immediately begin to run down the stairs towards you guys. I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to try and do this without going into initiative, since we're split in this way. But Brahm, Walter, Osrius, there are 5 Ignian soldiers coming down this set of steps with a switchback from the top of this wall, which is about 20 feet. You know that there are any number of soldiers hot on your heels from the other direction. What is your plan? And keep in mind, you have these bandoliers of these extremely explosively flammable things strapped to you.
I mean, Walter was probably just going to creepy green light that whole general area just to try to burn them down as fast as possible.
Okay. Brahm and Oz, what do you guys want to do?
Mop up survivors.
Brahm, you go.
Well, I don't want to get myself blown up. Is it are the bandoliers are the bottles just on the front?
Yes.
So could I theoretically slide it around so the bottles are on my back? Okay, I'm gonna do that so that slightly less chance of getting blown up.
Okay.
I'm gonna plan to see how well Walter's creepy green light does,
Okay.
and then probably, if necessary, like cast entangle to like keep some people in the creepy green light.
Oh, war crimes! I love it.
So okay, and then with that, did you say there's people coming up? People
Behind
coming
you, yes.
down and coming from behind us as well.
Yeah, imagine you sort of like run out of an alleyway to like the
And
sort
then we're
of,
getting
the
like
space
converged
between
up.
like the outside wall and like the city behind you, and there's like people chasing the fire and you guys from like further in coming from behind you, and then these guys who are coming down from in front of you.
Okay, so what I'm going to do then is that I am going to throw one of my bottles from behind us. Throw one of my bottles behind us, along with raging and setting that like little portion on fire, so to kind of make a wall of explosions and fire behind us, so we could keep
Alright.
moving forward. So raging to deal with what's in front of us, and fire plus a bomb. Yes.
Not to change that narrative in any other way, but like I like the idea that like Walter's like, yeah, there's a problem I could solve with magic, and he just fucking like green lights it. It's like, and then like Oz is just like, yeah, I could solve it with magic too, and he just like rages and throws a fucking fireball on the ground, and it's just
Exactly. Exactly. Raging causes
See, it's
fire.
the same.
It's the same. You got magic, I got magic. Comes from my fist. Yeah, and I want to directly point out one person that is behind us that looks particularly evil, and throw that vial right to his face.
Okay, make an insight check.
Okay, insight check. I could do that. Insight is dirty 20.
A dirty 20. You
Yeah.
spot a guard, like a group of guards rounds the corner. Like a group of like 10 guards comes around this corner, and they're like charging in your direction. They're all yelling and like wielding like spears and swords and things. And you spot one guy like kind of to the like center left of the group, and you make eye contact with him, and you just like in your heart of hearts that this dude, when he makes his peanut butter and jelly sandwiches, he puts the peanut butter and the jelly on the bread in the wrong order.
Hold on, what is the wrong order here? Okay,
Whatever in your heart, whatever the wrong order is, he does it the opposite of the way that you think is right. And you look at him, and like you have this moment of like mental connection, and he like sees you, and he knows that you know that he makes his peanut butters and jellies heinously, and he goes like, "Oui, monsieur," and then you throw a firebomb at him as hard as you can. Make an athletics check.
Thank you. I really hope it's a nat 20. Ball things. Okay, no, it's not. It's athletics is 16.
Okay. You throw this bottle as hard as you can, and he goes, "And also I use almond butter!" And then like a glass sphere hits him in the face, and just goes like, and a torrent of flame blossoms out in a cone, funneled by like his head.
He deserved
Like
that.
that scene from Terminator? Like where
Yeah.
they're holding on to the fence and it's just like the blowback.
Yeah, when the fire clears, he's like a torch skeleton. And the Ignians behind him. Go ahead and roll 5d10 fire damage for me.
Oh god, okay.
Damn.
Well, I'm gonna roll that on the website. Take a little bit.
I was
but-
gonna say my 4d10 for creepy green light was 26.
Well, these things are in fact intended to take out buildings.
That's true. So I'm hoping. Yeah,
on
no,
bones.
it's,
What is that? What is that to bones?
To bones, yeah.
Find out. Building to bones ratio. It's still rolling. We're writing it
Oh
down.
no.
22.
22
22.
points of damage. Okay. So you incinerate the guy who makes peanut butters and jellies wrong. And several of the other Ignians are like poof, blasted. They fly sideways. Several of them like slam into the like sides of buildings. Windows in the nearby buildings just like blast outward. Thorne from somewhere behind you is like, "Aye, be careful! I said, people live here. Fuck!" As he like shing, pulls out his sword. And several of the Ignians who like get off the steps and rush towards you guys right before Walter like casts his spell. They come to him and he immediately begins to like clash swords with them. Walter, you are creepy green lighting. So a couple of Ignians like get off of the steps and begin to rush across the space between you. Thorne immediately like pulls his sword and prepares to fight them. The several of them who are still on the stairs, you like cast your spell, and this like illumination of magic hits the steps. Several of them immediately like stumbling. One of them like throws up immediately. They begin to like shrivel, and one or two immediately fall, just stone dead. Like topple over the railing and fall half a story down, just like splat onto the ground, stone dead. And your creepy green light pins several more of them like up on the battlements there who can't get down, who immediately like move to clear the sides of it, and begin to like bring bows and crossbows and stuff like that to bear. So Osrius, you are currently in the sort of like covering everybody's six. There is a big patch of fire blocking the street behind you guys where you came from. There are like several charred Ignian bodies scattered around where you just like blasted this space. Several others are like dragging themselves backward out of it. And you see more individuals who are coming up from behind, like then divert into side streets to like make their way around the flaming like blocked path that you made. Walter, you are holding the creepy green light on the steps, preventing any further Ignians from getting down and like melting the ones who are on the steps. Brahm, you and Thorne are like kind of in this no man's land between, and several Ignians are like rushing at you. Brahm, Thorne has like drawn his rapier and is like readying himself for them. Anything you're doing now, since you didn't really do anything previously, you just sort of like moved your... You are preparing a thorns.
Yeah.
I think that's what you're doing. Like, what you want to like act at this point, or what do you want to do?
Yeah. I'll cast Entangle.
And where are you casting this Entangle?
In the place where I can like get as many people as possible.
So I mean, I will say you could
preferably to like stick in Walter's creepy green light.
You want to put it in the light?
Like basically trap people in
okay
his creepy green light.
Already, I'm gonna make some saves. Okay. So Brahm, you like strum a note on your bandor, and from like there's like a metal handrail leading down the steps, and the metal bars of the handrail seem to like fractalize, and these like twines of corded metal lash off of it in the form of like musical strings, and begin to grab and constrict around legs and calves and ankles, and like one guy gets like caught around the throat and like is clothesline backwards, and they begin to be like held inside the creepy green light. Thorne sees you like cast out this magic, and he shifts his position and moves in front of you to engage in melee with the guys that like are running towards you that got out of the range of the creepy green light before it went. So as you guys like launch into full scale combat with these guys, we shift back. Aelar and Zintris, you guys are in the keep right now. You move through the chamber where Governor Piers and the elven commander of the garrison here are like setting up, surrounded by several guards in the chamber. And you make your way, Aelar, to what you know to be the door to the armory. It is a heavily reinforced door. There are 2 elven guards currently standing outside of it. What are you guys doing?
Um, gonna pulls in for toward a side passage. Get to your dimension door. Get us out, but I can only go once.
Yeah.
Can you get us in there? He's gonna give as good a description based upon
I
knowledge
saw
of
the map
this many
too.
feet. This, yeah.
I just gonna say there goes invisibility though.
It's all right.
Okay. Since I'm holding his hand and he's willing, we're going. Whoop.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so your dimension door. So with a slight, make a stealth roll, both of you actually.
Dirty 20.
17.
Okay, ooh, just good enough. So though you are invisible, as you like activate the magic, you become visible again, and then you immediately, not silently, but not necessarily noisily, you like part the curtain of space-time and pull an opening in reality in front of you, and you and Aelar sorp through it, and it shuts behind you. You step out into a darkened room into which you find walls of weapon racks, armor racks. You see one, like, the room is probably 20 feet by 30, 40 feet in dimension. There's only a single door in or out of it. The back corner of the room, immediately you see, has, like, crates and things have been sort of, like, piled and stacked and shoved to that corner. You immediately get the sense that that is, like, the Mythlindian gear that was in here has just sort of been, like, crated up and pushed aside to make room for, like, what is on the actual racks, which is, like, Ignean equipment. There's no, like, uniforms or anything like that, but there is several sets of Ignean armor in here. There are Ignean-made weapons and Ignean crossbows, like barrels that have like stacks of bolts in them, Ignean longswords, Ignean spears, bows, all manner of like standard weaponry.
Is there is the door, like, can we lock the door or bar the door from the inside?
No, the door cannot be barred from the inside. But the door, presumably is locked from the outside.
Mm-hmm. So we should have to be quiet with all of this. Okay. As we're loading lots of weapons.
Yep.
Very slowly.
So, sending spell? Let him know it's coming.
Well, once we get everything in, he's gonna take it all out at once, I think. And I'm only sending him one spell. Once everything is in, it's ask for the armory and get everyone together and start running through the town, Rogers.
Okay.
One spell.
Yeah. Tell him to hold on to 8 sets of the Ignean gear.
Yep.
I have no idea how the hell we're gonna fit Osrius in one of them, but we have to.
Just give him a helmet. It'll be fine.
Alright, then yes, as quietly as possible.
Aelar has a steadier hand, so isn't just holding the bag. Well, Aelar, one by one, sword.
Yep.
Piece of armor.
Okay. Make stealth checks. Zintris, as you are no longer invisible, make yours at disadvantage. Aelar, make yours normally.
22.
19, even with my disadvantage.
Alrighty. Okay, you guys begin loading equipment, and you send off your message. A minute later, you get back from, you hear back from Rogers. What was your like established time?
It was wait for, well, the plan was tell him to wait for the big sign from Raxis to get running.
Okay.
And we weren't giving him a Stellar-Shem, it was just call for the weapons and the stuff.
Okay. So you send him the messages. You're like, all right, we're starting to load the weapons. You get back like, okay, I'll give you 5, and then I'm gonna pull all the weapons out, and we're gonna start moving towards the gates. And I super duper hope we don't get shot to shit when we do it. Good luck.
Yeah, I'll have told him like weapons, armor, keep enough for all of us as we run through it. So,
Yeah, they know what's up. They know what they're doing. So you guys begin doing that. You manage to do so quietly. It does not sound like you have been overheard doing this thus far. Back on the other side of town, the last of the guards, Walter, in your creepy green light, who are like unable to escape it because Brahm is essentially just like he's essentially just like pushing them into it by the back of their head, like they get melted. So all of the guards who are like stuck on these steps drop and are dead on the steps or like fall over the sides. There are still several guards on the top who are like firing arrows at you guys.
I say after once that was cast, I was probably gonna like be blasting at the guys that are up on the thing.
That's fine.
Like we're just exchanging.
Right.
Gunfire.
So where we're at now, right, is that you have several guys with bows and arrows and crossbows on the parapets on the battlements. Brahm and Thorne are engaged in melee combat with several guys on the ground. Osrius, you are thus far holding off reinforcements via your firebomb.
Yep.
The development here is that the stairs are now cleared of guys. So long as the creepy green light is still up, no further guys try to come down. Osrius, you begin to see like reinforcements start to come from like other like side alleys and things like that as you bought yourself a minute or two here, but they begin to like circumnavigate your fire. As you like kind of take a couple of steps back to like reassess the new threats coming at you, something in the main fire in front of you, Osrius, like pops as like the heat of the fire like explodes it or whatever, and you hear like a bing 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 bing, and like several gold pieces from something like come rolling out of the fire and like stop at your feet.
Oh,
you scoop up a couple of gold pieces.
Oh, look, a piece of candy.
Yeah. But if you got, well, Brahm is not here. So Walter and Oz, Walter, you're gonna blast at some guys above.
Yeah, more or less like trying to blast them guys. I am going to. So relative to the situation, I imagine what I would. So I'll probably fly up instead of using the stairs to try to get to that guard tower.
Okay.
Blasting and moving, as is tradition.
Sure.
And see if I can get in there from like a window or like a watch area.
Okay.
Now that Brahm is back. If at all possible, like get in there without having to dismiss the creepy green light, but if I have to, I will, and I would hope that like Brahm would dismiss his shenanigans at the same time. Upon seeing mine as like the signal for getting up into the stairs.
Okay.
So it's kind of the direction I assume we're kind of taking, was like try to get in there while it's guarded and then dismiss it once to get everybody else up.
Right.
So many words to say one thing.
I have an idea.
Okay. So let's resolve Walter. Real quick. Walter, why don't you make me make me 3 attack rolls with your Eldritch Blasting with your Eldritch Blast, or whatever your attack with is.
Eldritch Blast, I get 2 beams per attack. So That's a crit.
Okay.
So one crit for 12 damage. I got a 14.
Okay.
If the 14 hits, it's in the way. Oh my god. If the 14 hits, it's 5 damage, and then a 19 for 2 damage.
Okay.
That's my sorry, and then sorry.
You get 4 more rolls to make still, right?
So yeah, there's a 14
okay.
for 10. So that's the second attack, the fourth beam.
Sure.
So the third attack is 2 more rolls. That's a 15 to hit and a 13 to hit.
Okay.
And that's going to be a 7 and a 1. That's the three attacks. The lowest of all numbers was a 13.
Okay. Everything hits, so you didn't roll low enough to not hit anybody. I'm just tallying damage.
Oh, okay. Can I just RoboCop these guys?
A little bit. So. Okay, so as the battle that you guys are in progresses, Osrius, you are beginning to be like have to back up into like the back of Thorne and Brom, who are sword fighting some guys on the ground. Walter is sort of like behind them. The creepy green light. Brom, you're away from your chair, but the creepy green light and your like entangle essentially like entraps the guys who couldn't get out of it long enough here in the intervening time when we were with the other group, where everybody who is now on the stairs is cooked. So Walter like dismisses the creepy green light and then is now like just blasting at guys on the battlements. Thorne is covering for you while you're holding concentration on your entangle spell for as long as you do. But there are several guys like coming at you in melee. And Oz is like backing up into you. Osrius and Bron. Oz said he had an idea. What are you doing, Oz?
It's not the greatest idea, but I have an idea. So
it's possibly the greatest.
It's a possibility. So what is the ground type that we're standing on right now?
Cobblestone.
Shit. Okay. Could I take an action to punch the cobblestone and get down to the dirt real quick?
Walter Mulderth.
Oh yeah, well, I would say yeah. Just all you have to do is yell, "I need a hole," and Walter will give you a hole.
So
need a hole.
Here's what I'll say: make an athletics check,
probably.
because you are correct. You have to get through the cobblestone to get to like bare earth that Walter can affect with his mold earth. So go ahead and make an athletics check.
Oh hell yeah, that's 19 plus 8.
So you like take your fist and you like punch into the ground. You crack through a cobblestone and then like spiderweb your hand and pull it back out. So the two halves of the cobblestone you punch through just fly off to the side, leaving like a foot diameter opening that leads to like bare unworthed earth. To which you then yell like, "Mold earth!"
Yeah. And so as soon as that happens, I'm pulling out the one magical acorn I have left in my pocket. Shoving it in the dirt.
Also I'm gonna do
shit.
If I could get a
simultaneously. He does that, and I whip out my Bandor and I cast Fly on both of us.
No, I have the boots too. So as soon as that happens, I have flying boots.
So on Raxis then.
Yeah.
So like
that was also part of this. This was also part of that too. I'm going to shove the acorn in, and where Braun is, I'm going to like shove my boots into the ground and like lift myself up. Start flying after shoving that fucking acorn.
Okay. I guess we're all booking it to the to the guard tower.
I hope it ends up good.
Incredible.
So is now the signal for this?
And Walter Flyer
tree just appears.
I have the flying shovel.
Okay, yeah. So I'll cast 2 flights.
You got Raxis.
Okay.
One on myself and one on Raxis. 2 flights.
Yeah, that's good.
Okay. Osrius.
Yeah.
Roll me a D100.
Also gonna Bardic Inspire him, just in case.
I guess.
Not for a D100 roll, but in case he needs it.
Okay.
Short.
Yeah, no, that's fine. Thank you. Okay, D100. Here we go. That is straight up 70.
70.
Please, I need something to like.
We're gonna use,
This,
like,
this
a
is intense
burn.
because this isn't a table
What,
I
you-
can metagame by like googling the tree table that Matt has created
Yeah.
that nobody else has
You don't
access
have my
to. So
tree
it's like
table. You don't know.
so it's like I want to know.
The tree man. You don't have a tree table. Watch
Don't
it be a
have money.
field of posts. Watch it.
Get
The
a-
most flammable thing is just dandelions.
Fucking Deku tree.
Yo, I hope it's a willow tree. That'd be ridiculous.
Man, a red
Just like a
fern,
big like bushy
A-
branch tree.
a
like
redwood
holly
tree would
bush.
be great.
Oh yeah.
Yes.
Um,
Out of nowhere, just a sequoia.
Now.
Oh dear.
maybe
okay.
Venus flytraps.
Oh baby, it's a triple.
Osrius,
Yeah,
you
this was
punch the seed, the acorn, into the ground. Brahm sees this, is like, oh, let's get the fuck out of here. Bing! Strikes the band door. You guys, he and Thorne lift into the air. Walter, you hop on the broom. Osrius, you click your boots. You guys begin to ascend. Thorne, like, as Brahm, like, slaps a hand on him and causes him to fly, like, levitates an inch off the ground, like, and then pulls it together pretty immediately. Uses that chance to just like stab an Ignian in the throat as he like ascends. And there is a few moments of like silence, and then there is a and the ground erupts and a tree begins to sprout. At first it is a single leader, and then it begins to branch off and grow taller and taller. Osrius, you see the telltale signs of dense branches, thick, short, stubby needles. Cones begin to blossom into a 66-foot tall balsam fir tree erupts out of the ground in the middle of this this plaza that you guys are in.
great. A Christmas tree.
It
And
is
something in front of us.
essentially Rockefeller Center's Christmas tree just comes out of the ground.
Great. The most flammable object that could possibly come.
Oh no! Oh, it's still on fire.
Is it dead? Is it still alive? How flammable
It's
is it?
alive. It's a fully living tree comes up out
Okay,
of the
so
ground.
it's not that flammable yet.
Oh goodness.
Oh, they have a freedom tree now.
It comes out of the ground. It's like, you better watch out. You better not watch out.
It's just you better
It doesn't
watch
say
out.
no. It's just you better watch out. You better watch out.
Yeah. That is what happens.
Well, you know what?
Oh,
I
I'm
am
glad-
so glad I gave you the extra gold for that.
Absolutely. I'm glad it was a tree and not a bush. You know?
A single sapling grows a single apple, and the apple
Living like a
leans the
decorative-
entire tree
A
over.
decorative shrub after all that.
Yeah, right.
Oh my god.
I think that's a 1. That's got to be like a
Just farts up out of the ground. Just
I didn't know you had any left. So
I
so
didn't know
excited.
either. I was looking through my equipment, being like, okay, what can I do here in this situation? Magical acorn. Yes.
Oh, best last 10 gold I ever spent at a time.
I imagine from the distance, Rogers and the boys are like, all right, what was the signal again? Was it the fire or is it the tree?
The fire's going off. Is that a big fuck off tree? I think that is.
Walter
the
starts having non-flashbacks.
Yeah.
Yeah, then when we did it to his hometown.
My backyard, there's a
His backyard.
120-foot hardwood tree in my backyard now.
Yeah.
Man, if we only had that here. Dude.
So you grow an enormous tree. It understandably confuses the ever-loving shit out of all the dudes on the ground behind you guys as you all begin
What I
to
was
like
looking for.
fly to the top of the battlements. Walter, your Eldritch Blasts will sort of retcon that to be like as you are ascending and the tree is growing behind you, you're just like picking very confused archers off the top of the battlements. You kill several of them who tumble down. clearing a space for the group of you to land on top of the wall, very near to the like the tower where you know you need to get access to the interior of the wall. As you guys come to rest, landing gently on the top of the wall, as Thorne like turns and looks back at the tree behind you guys, and he goes like, well, if they weren't sure what the signal was before,
I did just put Ride of the Valkyries in the Discord chat. I was like, this is our soundtrack as we grow a tree and fly away.
You grow a tree, you fly away, you land on the battlements, and then Thorne's like, when in Ignian, and he pulls the cork on one of his vials like a grenade and throws it at the tree. It just goes up in flames.
Gonna be this like the bells are playing at that point. Be like,
so the tree bursts into flame, and we will switch perspectives back to the inside of the armory.
Chaos.
A lot is going on out here.
Aelar's interest. You guys are loading stuff in. You think you have gotten like kind of the last of like, all right, that's enough. That's enough. That's as much as we needed. We got all the sets of armor we need. We got enough armor to arm everybody.
Yeah. I want to hold aside 2 sets of Ignian armor, one for his interest, one for me. We're throwing that stuff on.
Okay, make a perception check as you guys are like trying to put this armor on.
28.
Okay.
And
28.
reset perception.
Yep.
Dirty 20.
With a 28 and a dirty 20. As you guys like send the last of the stuff through, Aelar, you like tuck the bag of holding back into your belt. And you guys begin to like start throwing on armor. You hear a commotion outside the door. You hear the quickly approaching like footfalls of several people. You hear the voice of that Ignian commander that you had heard talking before. And he is saying in Elvish to the 2 guards outside of the door. He's saying, quickly, step aside, open the door. We need access to the armory. We are under attack of some sort. Druids, perhaps, I don't know. There are trees growing, there's fire. We must quickly open the armory. We need all of the weapons. And you hear like a key go into the door. What do you do?
How close are we to being geared up?
Like halfway.
It'll have to be enough. I'm going to grab the rest of the armor and Sintress, throw our arm around her, throw the cape around, and with my knowledge of Talmark, I am going to put us in an alley 400 feet away.
Okay.
Oh, you have that cape. I forgot about your cape.
I got
I was like, how are we doing this?
I got 1 GTFO and I'm using it.
I say, is it dawn?
Hang on momentarily.
Sorry.
You're like, ugh! Bundle up. You have like a helmet and like a breastplate under one arm. You're like, ugh! You grab his interest. The door swings open and you see like the Ignian commander flanked by the guard who opened the door. Behind him are uncountable. Like the hallway is full of Ignians behind them. The door opens. You like make eye contact, and for the second time in tonight's encounter, you have the experience of somebody going, "What the f-" and you disappear.
Yeah, I Han Solo scream. That scene where he runs into the trooper view. Door opens.
And you disappear. You guys poof appear outside the outer wall of the keep. Immediately to your your right, you kind of look towards the west or towards the southeastish side of town. You see a lot of fire, and you see the top of a very large coniferous tree currently in the process of lighting a blaze on the on that side of town.
Aelar's just gonna blink once and go,
What?
All right, he did have one left. Come on, throw the
Story
armor on.
later. Story later.
Yes, throw the rest of the armor on.
Put the armor on.
And we are going to move toward the center of town.
As if guards.
Yeah.
All right, very good. You begin heading in that direction, and we will switch back to the group of you above the battlements here. There are 2 Ignean soldiers flanking the doorway to the little interior of this portion on the battlements, where the trapdoor to the interior of the wall is behind them, and they level spears at you. The 4 of you guys on top of the wall here. Thorne is currently rooting through one of his many little satchels that he has, and he goes, "Take care of that, would you? I've got one last trick up my sleeve before we blow this popsicle stand." And he's rummaging.
Sorry. Walter's gonna take one of the grenades out, and just you want to go out the window?
Make an intimidation check.
It's a 7.
You know in Pirates of the Caribbean when those 2 British guards they look at you, they look at the grenade, they look at each other, and they both go, "Ah!" and they run at you with their spears.
Oh boy.
Hang on 1 second.
Well, we need that door.
Oh my god!
So...
I assume a 7 and an 8 don't hit.
No.
They come running at you with your spears. You're like, "Oh shit! Get out of the way!"
I'm gonna gust one out.
There are 2 guards now within melee
Sure, you
range
have an
of
Oz.
all 3 of you guys.
We have an Oz, but I want to
Do
gust
have
one
Oz.
of them out the window.
Okay, well I'll give the other 2 an opportunity to do something here before
Yeah.
we resolve that.
Brom, you want to do something?
I'm good.
We got 2 mooks charging and they missed their attacks.
Okay, well,
Yeah, I mean, I don't necessarily need to use a spell slot on something. So.
okay, well, I will just, I'm flying. I don't know. I guess I'll just swing at both of them.
Okay, yeah, roll to hit.
Yeah, sure. I'm sorry, Walter.
No, you're
Hopefully, I won't kill one of them. Fine. I am flying, so maybe you have the high ground on them.
I'm sorry.
Sort of. It's going to be with my Vicious Great Axe, too. So
Just
that
gonna
is
aggressively
a
T-pose at them.
16 and a 19.
Both of those hit.
I'm gonna vicious mockery one of
Okay.
I'm also raging. So
Yes.
one of those is a max, so that is 16, and then the other one is a 11. So it's literally one is 20 and the other one is 14.
Okay.
With my
So
handy
Osris,
dandy-
they come running at you, or they come running at Walter, I guess I should say, and you just come sort of swooping down, and you just cleave one of them in the side of the head, and he just instantly crumbles. You flip the axe around, hit the other one, who staggers sideways. His spear goes off from hitting Walter, and he's sort of pushed sideways by the impact of your axe, so that he's more face to face with Brahm now.
Do it.
I'm gonna vicious mockery him, and here we have. I point at him and I call him, "You lecherous fat kidneyed abomination."
Lecherous fat kidneyed abomination.
Damage for vicious mockery. And the Gus, they need to make a strength save.
Boy, where'd you go, Gust?
4 points of damage.
Yeah, DC 16 strength save.
Why are we beating the shit out
It's
of this
14.
guy really badly?
Oz slams him with the axe. Brahm levers this insult and just takes a white glove and
just
slaps him
blew
across
corpse
the face.
chunks out the window.
And, yeah, and then Walter goes and our perspective shifts from like your guys' perspective to like the ground beneath the wall on the outside of the town, and a single Ignian like DJ Jazzy Jeff just just hurled out of the battlements and just like falls and just splats on the ground. You guys have cleared the way. There's a trapdoor leading down into the interior of the wall and the battlements. Thorne like pulls his bandolier and holds it out one-handed to whoever like wants to take it, as he pulls a scroll out of the bag that he had been rummaging in.
Alright, into the hole, I guess.
Into the hole?
It's a trapdoor to get down into the thing. Do we need to get down there, or we just need to like start throwing stuff down? Just huck the grenades. All right.
Yep.
Sold.
Huck.
All right, so you guys begin.
Disrespectfully chuck him.
You just huck your fire bombs into the opening of this wall, which you see like they burst inside. The stone structure of the wall keeps them from like blasting anything apart, but the wooden like framing and scaffolding immediately begins to like catch fire and burn. Thorne unfurls this scroll, pulls it out. He takes like a climbing spike. He leans over the outside of the wall and he takes this scroll and he like slaps it on the wall, and then he takes the spike and pins this scroll to the wall on the outside of the battlements, and then he like bites his finger hard enough to draw a little bit of blood and like slaps his hand on the scroll, and you see the spell work begin to illuminate. And as he does this, a raiding party of like motley looking like mercenaries and like traveling soldiers and stuff like that appear outside the fortifications. They just like appear out of thin air, and with this like rallying cry begin to throw like ladders and things up against the wall, and you see like begin to start to climb and scale the walls to like breach the city in this like weak point of this burning piece of wall that you guys have created.
Just gonna kind of give him a look, and it's like, I guess we gotta catch up to wherever our cart is, huh? Time to go.
He sort of nods. He says, "Aye, the illusory magic will only last but 10 minutes. That's all the time I've bought you. Time to go, lads.
Let's go."
I guess we'll streak towards the middle of town to try to find the intersection of the cart
Mary
going
Poppins,
by.
you guys
Zoom.
fly
Yeah,
over the
just
center
zoom
of
off.
town.
Up and away.
Alrighty. So you guys fly towards the center of town. You make your way towards like the main thoroughfare that leads right down the center of this town from west gate to east gate. As you begin to descend, you see Zintris and Aelar like come sprinting out of a side street, like moving into position. The area that you guys are in is fairly deserted, as like every available Ignian soldier in the city is now like running towards this southeastern wall, where there is a huge fire, a giant tree, and apparently a large group of invaders attempting to like breach the weakened city wall. You guys reconvene at the same time here.
We're just waiting on
Rogers. He
Yep.
got the message. He should be along any moment.
Ubers are never on time.
What's an Uber?
This
Is that a Volandian thing?
You don't always
Whatever.
get the best help.
3, 2.
Did did you tell him to come in? I assumed like
He was told that once you get everything and you all get your stuff together, you come through.
The approaching noise of some kind of polka music grows louder and louder in your ears. And down the side alley, the careening cart, led by Dr. Strongfast and Hoover and Henrietta, Carlisle at the reins, like cha, wearing an extremely ill-fitting Ignian set of armor. You see like Rana and Rogers like poke their heads out from the interior of like the covered portion of your wagon. Rogers like reaches his arm out and like points in your guys' direction and shouts something that you can't hear over the clip clopping of rapidly approaching hooves, and Carlisle like looks in your directions and begins to rein the horses over. The wagon kind of like skids to a stop near you guys. Rogers like jumps out into the open. He has his sword in one hand. He's like, "Okay, let's fucking do this, boys!"
Everybody in. Let's go.
Jump on.
Hello.
and go.
Jumps in. Rogers like looks around. Nobody seems to be attacking. He's like, shoves his sword away. He jumps back onto the.
Zintris, up front and get ready to lie your ass off.
Easy enough.
Brom,
I make sure my hair's all tucked in my helmet and everything, and I'm.
Brom, your fly spell is like independent of you, right? Like you cast it on Thorne.
I believe I have to maintain concentration.
But like you still concentrating on it? Like he can still fly at this point, right?
Yeah, if he needs to.
Okay. Well, I mean, basically, as you guys get in the wagon, like if he can still fly at this point, he kind of goes like, "Well, that simplifies things." He's like, "Best of luck to you."
Zintris, one more invisibility for him.
I wink at him and he goes invisible.
He disappears. And then his disembodied voice goes like, "If you wouldn't mind holding on to your concentration for that for as long as you possibly can, I'd really like to get to safety before I fall to me death."
Yep, I got it. Just go.
And you hear these sort of like of him flying away from you guys. All right, you guys are in the caravan. Everybody's like hiding within, except for Carlisle, who's driving the cart, and Zintris, who is up front with him. He kind of like cracks the reins, and your horses begin to charge forward. You run down this main thoroughfare. You head to the eastern gate of the city, which is currently open. There are several Ignian guards standing near this who are like looking in the direction of the fire that you guys set. As you guys approach, they sort of like turn sort of in your, like move into your direction. They are, spears at the ready. They're not necessarily like blocking the gate, but they are like turning towards you inquisitively, like, what's happening here?
Aelar's going to whisper towards Zintris. Use the commander's name. Tell him that we're getting help from Vale.
I'm trying to remember the commander's name. Please hold. I have it. Of course I have it. Viermir Den. Commander Den sent us. Get out of the way now. All in Elvish, just screaming.
Make a persuasion check with advantage.
It's gonna be pretty high, but let's just check. That's a 27. Get the F out of my way.
You can't tell whether your bluff worked or whether the fact that you're like a whole ass cart just barreling towards these guys without slowing down.
Yeah.
But whatever it was, they like dive out of the way and you guys rocket through the gate on the east side of Talmark and officially into Ignian territory. After a few minutes, the gates begin to shrink behind you. You're in the valley between these two towns. You can't really make out the details of anybody at the town. It does not appear that anybody is pursuing you. And you are home free inside the Empire.
Yay. That tops me sneaking out from trying to steal the egg.
But no one propositioned you, does it really?
I mean, giant burning tree.
Carlisle can
Twice?
proposition you if it'll make you feel better.
I'm sitting up front with Carlisle and I just look and smile at him.
I don't want to do that.
I just pat Carlisle on the shoulder, like, happily, like, you don't have to, buddy. It's okay.
Oz, when were you gonna tell us you had another one of those? Thank you for having another one of those and not playing it in my yard.
I want the whole story when we make camp, okay?
In grueling detail.
Yes, please. But I want to hear it from Oz. I think I need an Oz story time about all of
Slightly less detail.
Walter, you've got their papers. Make sure that that Rogers and crew have. All right, congratulations, you two, citizens of the Empire. Rana.
She like snaps the paper. She's like, I understand. It is fine.
No, it's not. But for what we gotta do.
There is opportunity for me to make amends for what I have seen here. I can suffer the injustices of this piece of paper until then. It is fine. She tucks it away. And Rogers kind of like looks at her for a moment and then turns to the rest. He goes, well, you did a jailbreak in a random town on the way in. That was fun. Now all we have to do is do a jailbreak in the most in the most unjailbreakable fortress that anybody's ever heard of. This should be spectacular.
It was a practice run.
We need to get into practice. You've broken out of the Estelgath. I'm a little bit rusty on doing a jailbreak, so I need to practice.
A roundabout way, our adventure started with a jailbreak.
What goes around comes around.
And as you guys ride your cart off into the night, that's where we'll end tonight's session. Hey,
We did it, guys.
We grew a tree and almost blew up a city.
I rolled just in case with all the chaos. Thorne made it presumably that whole hour of concentration.
Because really, the fly was the problem.
Yeah.
One thing, yeah.
It was more directed towards Brom of like, hey, please don't drop concentration on fly so that I fall 100 feet to my death as I get out of here.
I would totally be able to catch him.
But as far as you guys know, Thorne, fine. And you guys are now within the borders of the Empire with some fake documents and a mission ahead of you to break into the Estelgath and retrieve one of the 5 generals of Artanis. So, let us take a look at our little calendar here. Next week, we'll be back with the pirates who are in the Isles, trying to figure out, I guess, what their next step is going to be. And then probably the week after that, I think we're going to be off because that's sort of like between Christmas and New Year's. And I have, my assumption is people will be traveling or have company or things like that. So we'll go from there. But thank you as always for joining us for tonight's episode of our little stream here. Thank you to our sponsors, Little Dragon Corp and Cardboard Castle. Thank you guys, my players, as always for taking this journey with me. And we will catch you next time. Bye.
Bye.